I just finished building this wall bed, and it was a kind of an interesting project. It wasn't difficult. It took me some time because I had to think, but basically it was a pretty nice build. And one of the reasons for that is Selby publishes a booklet. It's 8 pages to help you when you're constructing this this wall bed. And they tell you how to drill for the hardware, and they give you a cutting list. In my case, I'm building a vertical bed, and it's a twin, or what you call a full. So I was able to use the chart that's provided on page 4 in their instructions. And you have a lot of options that are available for building a bed. For example, you can build a vertical one like I've got, or you can do a horizontal one if you want. The hardware works for both. And then you can use it for twin, double, queen, or king, a full bed. All of those possibilities using the same type of hardware. So there's another thing that I thought was interesting is they have one where you have an exposed hardware for your lift mechanism and another one where there's a concealed hardware. Now the cutting list is different, and it's on here. It tells you how to cut your pieces. If you cut according to the cutting list they provide, it's almost impossible to make a mistake assembling this bed. There are some, so you have that option, internal a mechanism or an external mechanism. But here's the thing that I thought was interesting. No matter which one of those two mechanisms you use, the drilling specifications for where you mount the hardware is the same. So it's pretty hard to make a mistake on the construction of this bed. There are some drawings that are difficult to understand. In the video I've provided other drawings to make it a little bit clearer. Installing the bed was pretty easy, and the mechanism works real well. So you'll be able to watch that all in this video. I hope you enjoy it. Well, I got a little add-on. It's a confession. I didn't read the instructions all the way when I built this. The instructions tell you to make sure you take into consideration the thickness of your mattress. This wall bed was designed probably originally for a 6-inch mattress, and maybe you could get a thicker one than that, maybe an 8 or something. I don't even know if they make them, but I bought a 10. Well, I can get the door closed real fine. I have no problem with that. It's just that with the legs at the foot of the bed, I can't attach that strip of wood in between, because if I do, then I can't get the cabinet all the way shut. So that was one thing that happened because I didn't pay attention. I should have built my cabinet instead of 14 inches deep. I should have went 16 inches deep. Then I would have been good. That's my confession. Now let me introduce you to the hardware that I used to make this bed. There's 2 profiles, a long profile and a short profile. You see that in this image. So looking at the left on the image, you have the exposed hardware, and it has a short square axle. If you look at that on the bottom of the page there. That's for exposed hardware. And then the right side of the page you have for concealed hardware, a long and a short profile. And it's with the long square axle. So that's when you don't want the hardware to show. That's the 4 options that are available in making this Selby wall bed. The difference between the long profile and the shorter profile is the distance between the mounting holes. On the short profile, you have 448 millimeters between the holes, and on the long profile, you have 608 millimeters. Otherwise, all the drilling specs are the same. Here's a quick look at the hardware selection and applications that are available. In this video clip, I'm assembling the door for the wall bed unit. Well, I don't know if it's the door or if it's the platform for the bed, but either way, whatever you want to call it, that's what I'm assembling, and we're making it in a panel door style. That's kind of a nice design. And I have to be 61.5 by 78 7/8 inches for the door, and I did that pretty close. And now I'm cutting the pieces for the bed frame, and I'm going to put on some pine edging on it. Instead of using edge tape, I'm going to use strips of pine, and so that's what you see me gluing up right here and stapling on. I do like this better using the pine. And the nail holes aren't going to matter. We're going rustic, and it really doesn't matter. Somebody brought me some putty to put on it. I'm not even going to use it. So we're attaching edge strips to the bed frame here. And now I'm using an older pocket hole drig from Craig to drill the pocket holes for assembling the bed frame. This goes pretty nice. I like the new one that's out, though. I think the new one's a little nicer than this. Here I'm doing the pocket holes to screw the bed frame to the actual door or bed platform. With that done, we're going to move on to machining the sides of the bed frame for the lift mechanisms. And we're going to start with a 35 millimeter hole. It's pretty fussy where you put it, and that's why I'm showing this diagram. The hole has to be 56 millimeters up from the platform or the door and 112 millimeters back from the front of the bed frame. And we're also drilling a 35 millimeter hole all the way through the bed frame on both panels, the left side and the right side. And then we're going to follow that by drilling little pinholes all the way through the left and the right side of the bed frame, and then flip the bed frame over because we have to drill a 12.7 millimeter hole, 8 millimeters deep, and that's for the purpose of receiving the bushings. So we'll do that also on both the left and the right side of the bed frame. Now, I'm using this caliper to demonstrate it should be 8 millimeters deep because you want the bushing to bottom out. Now I'm using a 7 millimeter bit, the through hole that the bolts will go through. I tried 6 millimeters, it's too tight for those bolts. Now here we go. We're pressing the countersink bushings with a clamp. I'm doing that on both sides of the bed frame. Then we go about assembling the bed frames with pocket hole screws all the way around, assembling and attaching the bed frame to the platform or the door, whatever you want to call it. Moving pretty fast here. You can see I'm a good worker. The frame is assembled now, so we're going to use the holes that we drilled earlier in the bed frame on the side of it and attach the lift mechanism to the side of the bed frame. We're going to use the through bolts and take advantage of the 7 millimeter hole. We also have to use the bushings in the back side and then some nuts on the front. And we'll have the nuts in the front of the lift mechanism and then the back. That thing's going to be really stable, especially with the bushings that we pressed in on the back side. Now my wife says I got to cut these bolts off because she doesn't want the bedding to get caught on it and tear it. So I'm taking these nuts off, and I'm going to use a thing called an acorn nut and cover all of those things. That'll make a pretty nice finished look. Now I'm installing the lift mechanism on the other side. Going back to the cutoff saw, we're making the bunkie boards out of 1x4 pine, and those will get dropped into the inside of the bed frame that's already attached to the platform. There's some 2x2s I'm dropping in, and then I'll set the bunkie boards right on top of that. It'll all get fastened securely to the bed frame and to the door or the platform, whatever you want to call it. In this phase of the operation, it's the cabinet side that we're working on. We're putting a face frame on one of the sides of the, it's an upright for the cabinet that the bed gets installed in. And so that was one side, here's the other. We'll put the face frame on that, glue it and nail it so it's real secure. This is turning out pretty nice. I was a little worried. So here's an image of our cabinet side panels with all of the technical information you need to know. The setbacks, the 56 millimeter setback to the center of the hole. 237 millimeters is from the floor of the cabinet, and then that's to the center of the hole. 96 millimeters between the two 35 millimeter holes. And then we can, as soon as that's done, then we can drill holes to install the mounting plates. You see the mounting plate sitting there. It's got to be 11 millimeters deep minimum. with a 35 millimeter diameter hole. Then we drop the mounting plates in, draw a little circle where we have to drill through for the bolts. Now I'm using a tiny little drill bit to poke a hole so I can flip those boards over. These are pilot holes for the bushings, and I'll flip the boards over. Now I can use that half-inch bit, 12.7 millimeters, and drill 8 millimeters deep so I can press the bushings in. But before I do that, I got to drill the 7 millimeter through hole. And now I can go about the process of pressing the bushings in, the countersink bushings. And I'm using a clamp. I'll squeeze them down tight, making the bushings bottom out in the hole at 8 millimeters deep, so that we get a good secure fit. You'll see I use the caliper here to demonstrate that the bushing is 8 millimeters and requires an 8 millimeter deep hole in the cabinet. And now we tighten the bolts in. So you'll want to drill a 7 millimeter hole. It works a little better. Now we flip that over and drop the mounting plate in. That goes on pretty easy. And put the nuts in place. Tighten those up real good. Those bushings in the back are going to help to hold it. And now we're looking at all of the parts of the cabinet. The cabinet and its dimensions. The two pieces in the middle are the top and the bottom of the cabinet at 62 inches. The cabinet sides are both 84 and 7/8 inches long, top to bottom. We have a 56 millimeter setback to the center of the mounting plate. And then the cabinet width is 14 inches, not including the face frame. Now it's the process of assembling the cabinet that the bed mounts into. I'm screwing it together. I'm doing everything with screws because this is a video. You never know when you have to back up when you're doing a video. So we're going to screw this together. Oh, I got to show you something interesting here. You see these shims? I love these shims. They're called handy shims. And it's hard for me to hold the pieces in place, so I can use them like that. I'm using 3/32, a 16th inch shim and an 1/8 and a 32nd inch shim to get her lined up perfectly. And then I'll screw the cabinet together and attach the back. Put both of those pieces in. I sure hope now I got this nice and square. I think I do. I measured and double measured and triple measured. I did it in millimeters and inches. Pretty sure that this is going to be a nice square cabinet when we're all done. And put that other piece on now and check to see if the thing is square. Let's see here, 106 inches. And the other way, 106 inches. That's a good deal. I'm really happy about that. Well, here we go now. Chris is going to help me do a dry run on assembling this or installing the bed into the cabinet. It's a heavy bed. It's over. It's about 150 pounds the way it is right now. So there's a lot of weight there, and we'll get it over by the cabinet, the bed part of it there, and then we're going to slip that into the cabinet and drop. We're going to drop the square axles into the mounting plates, and then check for to see that it's level, straight up and down, see whether we've got our gaps correct, and then we'll be able to stand the bed up and make whatever adjustments are necessary. Then we drop the platform down, put the plywood in, throw the mattress in. Now we'll stand it up, and it's at this point we can start making adjustments for where we want it. So now I'm going to tear the thing apart. Well, look at there, I got it tore apart already, and start putting finish on it and then reassemble it in the room that it's going into. This is General Finishes Armor Seal, and I like using that stuff with a foam brush. There it is, the finished job. I think that looks really nice. So now here we are in the office or the junk room or a small bedroom, whatever you want to call it, and I'm assembling the cabinet, the frame that we'll put the bed into, putting the back on it, and then I'll flip it up and bolt it to the wall so that it doesn't tip over. Necessary, you just got to make sure that you get it securely fastened to the wall. Now here's an interesting thing. Here's the mounting plate. It's set back the right distance, but I'm recommending, like you see on this arrow here that is pointed to it, is to back that nut out quite a ways so it doesn't interfere when you're putting the bed in. And that nut that's on the lift mechanism's got to come out to make it easy to install. Make sure that the square axle is in a 45-degree angle like you see it here. It's pretty easy to adjust that when you have the lift mechanism completely loosened, so you can get that 45-degree angle real easy. Then, when that's done, and your mechanism is loose, you can get some help and lift your bed into the frame, which we're doing right here. Now we'll drop those square axles into the mounting plates. There, it's in. And we'll flip it up, and sure enough, it lined up perfectly. We don't even have to make any adjustments. I've got a temporary stop up there to hold it shut. Now that the door is installed, or the bed, we should say, we have to adjust the lift mechanisms. And we start that by loosening the loosening the tension on the lift mechanisms. I actually screwed the handle right off. It don't matter. You can do that. So you just want to make sure that your lift mechanism is completely loose on both sides, because we're going to lower the bed all the way to the floor and put the mattress in. Now, I got to make sure we remember to put the legs down, and then we can continue to lower it to the floor. This bed's heavy. Right now it's probably 120 pounds. And so I'll set it on the floor. As soon as I get it to the floor, I'm going to bring the mattress in and put that on the bed. And then we'll lift it back up again. So the mattress is in. Now instead of 120 or 140, we're at about 160 or something. So it's a heavy lift. And so now we're going to adjust the tension on the lift mechanisms. And this time, we're going to hand tighten those lift mechanisms until they come in contact, till the handle comes in contact with the lift mechanism. Take a look here how I do that. You see that yellow piece of tape on there? So I'm going to start turning that. I'm going to turn it about, well, I'm going to turn it all the way down till it contacts the face of that lift mechanism. And when I get this one done, then I'm going to go over to the other side and do exactly the same thing on the other side, and that synchronizes the two lift mechanisms so they're both handling the same amount of weight. Now, flip the legs up again, that's for sure, good idea. And then when we lower the bed, now the lift mechanism is probably going to take over. It'll probably be too tight and it'll stop the bed. So, it is too tight. You can see I'm having to pull down on the bed to get it to progress. So what that means is I have to raise the bed, and we're going to take some of the tension off of those lift mechanisms. It's hard to do. There's a lot of tension there, so I'm going to have to use the wrench, and I'm going to back it out 3 turns. So there's 1, 2, 3, and now I do exactly the same thing on the other side. And when I get that done, then I'm going to shut the cabinet and start it from scratch and see if I got good support. I got to remember to put the legs down. And then I'm going to lower the bed now. Let's see if we get some really nice support. There we're about 45 degrees. I'm just going to let go. Nice. A little farther. There, you pretty much stop it anywhere you want. And now it's all the way to the floor. Pretty good. Now how about lifting it back up? Oh, show off, one hand. Nice. So we'll push it all the way up to the top. Close the legs. And slam the cabinet shut. I think it works real good. I'm happy. I have included some drawings that might be useful. The first image is of the bed platform, and it's to be used in conjunction with Selby's instructions, pages 4 and 5. The second image is the exposed hardware drawing from the Selby instructions on page 4 and 5, but it has additional detail. And the next picture there is the same as the previous drawing, but perhaps a little clearer and a little easier to understand. This is an enhanced drawing of the concealed hardware on page 5, and it's to be used with the detail on page 4. The drawing you see here clarifies the drawing on page 3. Thanks for watching. Give it a thumbs up, share, and subscribe. The section you're watching right now is the opportunity to page through the Selby instruction manual. All 8 pages are included.